Kia NBA Most Valuable Player, Nikola Jokic.
Kia NBA Most Valuable Player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Every year, one player takes home the NBA's most prestigious individual honor, the Most Valuable Player. But what about the seasons that didn't end with a trophy, yet still made history? This is the story of those seasons. Kobe's 35-point masterpiece, Dwyane Wade's unstoppable 2009, Chris Paul nearly stealing it in 08, and so many more. In the 05-06 season, Kobe reminded the world exactly who he was. Coming off the breakup with Shaq and just 2 years removed from missing the playoffs, Kobe entered the year on a mission. And what he did over the next 82 games was nothing short of historic. He averaged 35.4 points per game, the highest scoring average since Michael Jordan in 1987. He dropped 62 points in 3 quarters against Dallas. Then came 81 against the Raptors, the second highest single-game total in NBA history. He carried a flawed Lakers roster to 45 wins and a playoff spot in the brutal Western Conference. Night after night, he faced double teams, traps, junk defenses, and still couldn't be stopped. He led the league in usage rate, fourth quarter points, and fear factor. And yet, he didn't win MVP. The award went to Steve Nash for the second straight year, after leading the Suns to 54 wins in one of the league's top offenses. Nash was brilliant, but many felt Kobe had done more with less, putting together one of the most dominant individual seasons ever. Years later, even Nash admitted Kobe deserved it. No player has ever scored more, carried more, or done more with so little help, and walked away empty. By 2008, Dwyane Wade had already won a title, but after a couple of injury-riddled seasons, some started questioning whether his best days were behind him. They were wrong. D-Wade bounced back in 08 and 09 with the best season of his career. He averaged 30.2 points, 7.5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2.2 steals per game. He led the entire NBA in scoring and finished third in both player efficiency rating and win shares. But it wasn't just stats, it was the moments. He dropped 50+ on multiple occasions. He hit buzzer beaters. He put up a 40-point triple-double. And most importantly, he dragged a mediocre Heat team to 43 wins and a playoff berth, with no other All-Stars on the roster. D-Wade was everywhere. Defense, offense, crunch time. He became the first player in NBA history to post 2,000 points, 500 assists, 150 steals, and 100 blocks in a single season. But despite all that, he finished third in MVP voting, behind LeBron James and Kobe Bryant. LeBron was the rightful winner that year. He led the Cavs to 66 wins and was dominant on both ends. But many fans still believe D-Wade's season was just as valuable considering what he did with a far weaker team. In any other year, he might have run away with it. In 07 to 08, Chris Paul wasn't just the best point guard in the league, he was the engine behind one of the NBA's biggest surprises. That season, CP3 averaged 21.1 points, 11.6 assists, and 2.7 steals per game while shooting 48% from the field. He led the NBA in assists and steals, finished second in win shares, and was the clear leader of a Hornets team that won 56 games, the best regular season in franchise history. He controlled every possession, ran pick and rolls like a surgeon, defended full court, and most nights he looked like the smartest guy in the gym by far. Nobody expected New Orleans to be that good, and without CP3, they wouldn't have been. He elevated David West, Tyson Chandler, and a group of role players into legit contenders, and he did it with poise, efficiency, and barely any turnovers. CP3 finished second in MVP voting, just behind Kobe Bryant. It was Kobe's long-awaited MVP, and he earned it. But CP3 had a real case. Statistically, analytically, and by impact, he was right there. Many forget how dominant he was at just 22 years old. That season might still be the closest he ever came to MVP. But for one magical year, CP3 was as valuable as anyone in the league. When DeMarcus Cousins went down with a torn Achilles in January 2018, most people assumed the Pelicans season was over. But Anthony Davis had other plans. Over the final 2 months of the season, AD went nuclear. He averaged 30.2 points, 11.9 rebounds, 3.2 blocks, and 2 steals per game after Boogie went down, all while carrying New Orleans into the playoffs. By season's end, his full stat line read 28.1 points per game, 11.1 rebounds, 2.6 blocks per game, and the Pelicans had won 48 games. AD finished third in MVP voting, behind James Harden and LeBron James. And even though Harden rightfully earned the award, what Davis did down the stretch was unforgettable. He was a two-way monster. Offensively, he dominated from the mid-post and rim. Defensively, he erased shots and defended in space like a wing. He was everything, and he played with a sense of urgency fans hadn't seen from him before. In the playoffs, he swept the Blazers in the first round, averaging nearly 30 a night. It was the most dominant stretch of AD's career, and one of the best examples of a superstar rising when it mattered most. For the first time in over 20 years, a center led the NBA in scoring. In 2021-22, Joel Embiid averaged 30.6 points, 11.7 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game, while anchoring one of the league's best defenses and dragging a Sixers team through the chaos of the Ben Simmons saga. He became the first center since Shaq to win the scoring title. He did it with finesse, power, and footwork that looked like it belonged in the 90s. Night after night, Embiid was unstoppable. He dropped 40 and 10 like it was nothing. He hit game winners, he stayed healthy, he did everything voters had asked for in previous years, and still didn't win. The MVP went to Nikola Jokic, who had another all-time statistical season. His advanced metrics were off the charts, and his impact on a depleted Nuggets roster was undeniable. But for Embiid, it stung. He had answered every question, he elevated every part of his game, and yet again, the award went to someone else. The debate between Embiid and Jokic defined that season, and depending on what you value most, either could have won. But for Embiid, it was another dominant season that ended with silence on awards night. After a rocky 2015-16 season that ended with no All-NBA honors, James Harden came back with a vengeance. In 16-17, under new coach Mike D'Antoni, Harden switched to point guard full-time, and the result was one of the most explosive offensive seasons in NBA history. He averaged 29.1 points, 11.2 assists, and 8.1 rebounds per game. He led the league in assists and finished second in scoring while also posting a league-best 15 win shares. The Rockets won 55 games, far exceeding expectations, and Harden was at the heart of it all. He had triple-doubles, game winners, and a signature moment on New Year's Eve. A 53-point, 17-assist, 16-rebound explosion. It was the first time anyone had posted a 50-15-15 stat line in NBA history. But despite all of that, he finished second in MVP voting behind Russell Westbrook, who averaged a triple-double and captured the media narrative. It wasn't that Harden didn't deserve it, he just ran into the wrong storyline at the wrong time. He would eventually get his MVP a year later. But in terms of raw numbers, team success, and impact, 16-17 might still be the best season of Harden's entire career. Kevin Durant did win MVP in 2014, and rightfully so, but what gets lost in the conversation is just how many MVP caliber seasons he's had that didn't result in the award. Take 2012-13 for example. Durant averaged 28.1 points, 7.9 rebounds, and 4.6 assists on a ridiculous 51-41-91 shooting split. The Thunder won 60 games, and Durant was the most efficient high-volume scorer in the league. But the MVP went to LeBron James, who was also great, and Durant's masterpiece faded into the background. Or look at 2015-16 when he quietly averaged 28.2 points per game on 50% shooting while playing next to Russell Westbrook. Steph Curry's unanimous MVP run swallowed the spotlight, but KD was still dominant, just as he always had been. Even during his Brooklyn years, Durant had MVP-level stretches, especially in 2021-22 before injuries sidelined him. At one point, he led the league in scoring while anchoring a dysfunctional Kyrie-less roster. The truth is, Durant has been so consistently elite that his greatness became expected and eventually underappreciated, similar to LeBron. His ability to drop 30 with zero wasted movement, his efficiency, and his impact on winning often went overlooked because he made it look effortless. In a different era, he might have had 3 MVPs by now. One of the strangest patterns in NBA history is how often greatness gets penalized for being too consistent. Ask LeBron James. Between 2008 and 2018, LeBron had multiple seasons that could have, and maybe should have, earned him the MVP. In the 2012-13 season, he led the Heat to 66 wins while averaging 27-8-7 on 56% shooting. He did win that year, but the next year, he posted 27-6-7 again and lost to Kevin Durant. In 2017-18, he played all 82 games, carried a broken Cavs roster to the finals, and still didn't win. The issue? Voter fatigue. The NBA MVP often rewards narrative, and when you dominate for too long, people stop noticing. They start looking for the next big thing. That's why LeBron, Steph, and even Giannis have seen some of their best seasons go unrewarded. Same goes for Tim Duncan, who had MVP caliber impact into his late 30s. Or Kawhi Leonard during his peak two-way years. Even Dirk Nowitzki had seasons better than his MVP year. The problem isn't that these guys weren't the best player, it's that the storyline had moved on. Which raises a bigger question. If we reward greatness once, why stop recognizing it when it doesn't feel new? MVP is about value, not novelty. Looking back at all these MVP caliber seasons, one thing becomes clear. Value is subjective. There's no perfect formula. Sometimes it's the best stats, sometimes it's the best team, sometimes it's just the best story. And in chasing those ever-changing criteria, the award has missed out on honoring some of the most incredible seasons in NBA history. Kobe in 2006, D-Wade in 2009, Harden in 2017, AD, CP3, Embiid, all dominant, all deserving. And that's not even counting players who had multiple years of MVP-level impact, but were overlooked because of voter fatigue, teammate dynamics, or just bad timing. It's not that they weren't good enough, it's that someone else captured the moment. But maybe that's what makes these stories so compelling. MVPs are trophies, but legacy? That's earned over time. Fans still remember Kobe's 81, still talk about D-Wade carrying the Heat, still marvel at CP3 turning the Hornets into contenders. These moments didn't need a trophy to matter. They stuck. So while the MVP will always be the crown jewel of individual success, some of the most valuable seasons never got it. And yet, they might be the ones we remember most, because greatness doesn't always need a vote. Sometimes it just speaks for itself.